I'm upside down.
Oh, that's worse. Okay,
So,
I'll move.
yeah, that's all right.
Turn me around.
We'll all go through this. So the point of trying to gather today, small group, large group, doesn't matter, is that we wanted to just kind of touch base and see how things were going. Oftentimes we go through the season and we learn some things and we don't really have a chance to share those lessons or those insights, or this is coming up and I'm not quite sure how to handle it, or any of the above. So our first mid-season check-in, and so we thought it would be very informal. We can talk about the events that you have done, strange questions that have come from the children, strange requests that have come from the clients or the families. We can talk. One of the questions that was submitted was whether or not Mrs. Claus had a particular dress code. So let's talk about how you're dressing for your events.
She froze.
Any or all
Yeah.
of the above. Yes? Can
You're
you-
freezing.
Well, all right, I'm going to stop my video.
Yeah.
So why don't we just do round robin? Judy, we'll start with you.
It
And
weren't
just
freezing
kinda-
for us, just saying.
Oh,
What?
it wasn't free. Could you see me though?
Yes, I could see you and it wasn't freezing. It was a nice stream.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
well,
good.
then I'm going to turn
All
it back on because I don't see myself, actually. I don't see myself. So, all right, well, I have a black screen and that's just fine. But if you can see me, hi there. So let's start, first of all, tell us the kinds of events that you've done. And are they new types of events for you, first time events? And how have they been going? Judy, do you want to start?
Which
Oh,
Judy?
no, I'll let other people go first.
Okay, let's have upside down Judy start.
Okay, no, we've been doing pretty much the same events. Home visits is what we like to do. We finally got in touch with families we hadn't seen in 2 years, which is awesome. And I wore the same dress that I wore then, just so the kids would bring it all together that we're still the same people
Nice.
in that. So, but our first event, we had an incident where one of the people passed out. We had to incorporate marching in my story to get out of the room so that the parents could handle the one lady that passed out. So other than that, we've been doing really good.
All right, I'm sure. Are you seeing?
Hold on just a second.
On a second, there goes.
All right.
Oh,
Are
I
you seeing, like, thank goodness we can see you again. We missed you last year, all of these.
Yes, they are so excited that we're back at their houses, and I
Mhm.
send them the cards out like in July, and they're going, "Oh my God, we're gonna try. We want to make it," you know. And
Oh,
the first
great.
four that we had that's scheduled in August had to cancel because they got COVID. But other than that, they're doing pretty good. So
Perfect.
I still talk to them on Facebook. So only I'm not upside down to them.
Well, somehow your camera is rotated, but that's all
That's
right.
never my computer. I don't have one, so I'm borrowing
Oh,
somebody else's.
okay. Okay. Ellen, how about you? How's it going?
It has been great, crazy. We've had so many bookings. We have been completely booked since September. I've had to, on a daily basis, we're declining between 15 to 25 events a day. And they're asking for Mrs. Claus more. So I have 26 events myself, and that's not including with Santa. So I've had to stop because I'm starting to feel a little panicked because I'm not ready for my own family's holiday. So I had to stop some of my visits and decline, but it's been great. I have done cookie parties, decorating, cookie exchanges. I've done tea parties, arts and crafts, library programs. My husband and I, we've done a lot of home visits together, a lot of military and FRG events this year. We have done. We haven't done as many hospital visits, but because of COVID, I would assume. And we've done a lot of tree lightings. outside events, I think our biggest challenge this year that we haven't faced, because of COVID, even with spacing and trying to adjust, for the extra events, is going from an inside event to an outside event, and there's no restrooms in between because we're in my state, so many places are still shut down, the dine-ins, and unless you go into a restaurant that's open, but like all the fast food or not all the gas stations have their restrooms available. We've had rest areas still closed in our state. So we have a challenge of trying to change from going inside to an outside events, because you can't leave your layers on when you're inside. And then you got to put your layers back on when you're going outside to events. So that's been our biggest challenge in trying to find a restaurant this year that we've noticed the changes. But it has been a great year. It's been great to see everyone. Our virtual visits are not as many as there were last year. Everyone wants an in-person visit this year.
Oh, really?
That's great. I was going to ask you, Ellen, because so first of all, FRT, someone's asking.
FRG.
What is that?
FRG, Family Readiness Groups. So they're part of military families, and each base has an FRG. It's like a support group, if that makes sense. And so the different bases, we have a couple bases in our state, and they do Christmas parties for their families.
Nice.
Wonderful. So with all of these events, and you're turning down so many of them, how are you marketing these events? How are they coming into you that you've got so many and you're booked?
Okay.
So we have many that come through our website. We have some that come through Gig Salad and the Bash. And so Gig Salad and the Bash, I can't repost or share because that's through their website, but anything that comes through our website that we can't do, I will forward to as many of the stances that I know, not knowing whether they're booked or not. But one of the things that's with our website that helps with picking up on our SEO, I know a lot of clause members prefer not to be on Gig Salad, but we found that when you're on Gig Salad, helps with your website being picked up in SEO searches. And also social media. We have all the social media platforms, and it's really showing now with our website the last 2 years that we get, like I said, between 15 to 25 a day between the, let's see, our website is probably about, I would say about 10 a day. I mean, and then the Gig Salad and the Bash together is probably the other balance. So, and that's not counting Facebook. We get messages through our Facebook too. And we don't have any more room. We can't fit another person in. But that's what we do with our marketing. I mean, we're not paying for ads. I'm not paying to be on Facebook other than Gig Salad. I mean, we do find Gig Salad and the Bash has been worth our money for our SEO.
Turn it on.
And then the other tip, I've noticed that a lot of our clause members, when they're making their websites, not all of them have the, I'm not a technology person, but forgive me if I'm not saying it right. Like when you're typing in your website, there's a little lock button in the address bar. Some of them are not that lock button showing, and so Google won't pick it up. So if you're struggling with your website, look for that first. Let's
Great advice. Thank you, Ellen. Carla and Tom, how's your season going?
Okay, take it down, take it down.
This is
now.
my first season as Mrs. Claus. And every time, if you're not talking, every time someone in your background talks, your picture comes up instead of the speaker. So good to see you, Judith. But anyway,
I'm just
so I haven't really done anything yet. I kind of go along with Santa when he goes, and our main event was canceled, so we didn't we didn't do it. So yeah, last year we have stuff that we did, but we haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. Hi, Margie. Also,
I'm going around muting folks.
Thanks.
So if you're trying to speak, I've probably muted you. So, well,
Yeah.
congratulations, first of all, Carla, on your first year, doing this. It's an exciting journey, right? But you
One
have gone
challenge
along.
for it is, yeah, I've gone along with Tom in the
Yes.
past, but is that my first event's going to be in-person event. It's going to be outside. So that's a different clothing challenge. So
What is the weather like right now? I mean, I apologize, I don't
we're in the
remember.
Northwest and there's lots of rain here.
Yes,
So it's chances are that there will be rain. And so that challenges what we can bring in terms of decoration and furniture and that kind of stuff, because we're not taking anything stuffed, or plushy that is going to get moldy.
Right.
So greenery and limited bows and maybe some banners that can be all weather kind of stuff. So that's been a challenge to just think about how to present, and how to do light, because there's no lighting there. It's
so you are responsible for your own decor at this event?
Yes. Yeah.
That's new, that adds a big burden. Has anyone else had that same issue where you have to take more than just your chair or a couple of accessories, that you're responsible for the entire setting?
Yes.
They're providing a table and a tent. So we
And what
won't get
time
wet.
of day?
It's a solstice. It's about the stars. So it will be in the evening. So lighting is a challenge. 7 to 10 p.m.
When is this? What day?
18th. The 18th.
The 18th for the
Okay,
winter
so-
solstice. Okay, well, does anyone have suggestions for lighting? I'm not sure what kind of equipment that you have. Are people doing selfies where their cameras will have the flash on it, but yet you want the set to be
We
lit
have to be
enough?
visible. Yeah.
Yes.
It will definitely be dim.
Ring lights are an affordable option, and they come with tripods. That might be something that can cast a little bit of light onto the two of you.
We need to go check out to see if we have electricity even, or
Oh, well,
if we need battery things or generator.
oh
So,
my. This
We're
is,
not buying a generator, but if we have someone that can loan us one for the event, that would be nice.
Certainly you can get,
I'm muted.
oh, you're muted? Okay. Why are you
We
muted?
hear you,
Am
Judy.
I listening?
Oh, you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can get shop lights, they come on a tripod, get them from Harbor Freight. You're trying to see us upside down. I know.
There you go.
It's okay.
Yeah, and then you can use those in the garage too, all year long, but they cast really a big light.
Okay, shop lights. Good to know. We'll just
So-
find out if we have access to electricity, and then we'll
So,
go from there.
so Bill and I did our sleigh and we just used
I used a little boat battery.
he used a boat battery. And then you can buy at most places, a converter from the battery to electricity.
Oh,
And we plugged in all of our lights for our sleigh that way, and they ran the whole way.
Quiet.
It's quiet, it makes no noise like a generator does or anything else like that. So I don't know how much, but
Yeah.
it lasted for 3 hours without having to be charged.
perfect. And that's just a battery.
A boat battery or, like
Battery.
motorcycle battery.
Car battery.
Well, car battery is kind of heavy, but that would probably work too. Probably last more hours. But no, we just used a little tiny one that set, but it only had to light like 3 strands of LEDs. So
Well, LEDs are brighter too. That's a good idea. Okay.
and if you don't have chat turned on in the lower bottom where you have that menu bar, there is a chat option, and you can see that where some questions and some comments are being added, such as you can get ring lights on Amazon, shop lights at Harbor Freight. I'll tell you, Harbor Freight is one of my favorite places to go. I love that store. I don't know why. But with that, we are going to be very curious to hear how this turns out. This is an event that it's not very common that you have to do everything, including your own lighting. Thank goodness you don't have to deal with setting up photography for all of that.
No, it's all selfies and do
It's all
they're doing
selfies and you're
photography.
gonna, are you doing any, is anyone doing, before we get to Margie and Ellen and Eileen, if Margie's not a little under the weather today, so she's coughing and muted and might stay that way. But have you, how have you changed this season for any giveaways? Are you still doing candy canes? Are you doing stickers? I'm doing stickers and the little Mrs. Claus caught me being good cards. I don't tend to pass out candy canes.
Stickers would be nice. I kind of don't want to do candy canes, but
And stickers, if you go to, I get them from Spangle, Stuff for Santa. And I ordered them a bunch of I Met Mrs. Claus stickers, and I got them in a week.
Okay. Yeah, we give out
it's called what?
wristbands.
Spangle?
so.
Yeah, Spangle the Clown, his online store is called stuffforsanta.com. I'll put that in the chat box.
Yeah, I just talked to him this morning. He's working them all, so I will try and, I've got to figure out where he sent me his new phone number. I will post that down in the chat here also, because he said if you text him, his wife Gloria is at home and she can mail things out to you right away.
Great.
Yeah, we give away little wristbands, you know, I don't know, I found them.
The
I ordered
silicone.
Yeah, 2,000 of them because I got free shipping. And then COVID hit, I gave away about 10. So I'm working through the rest of the 2,000. But it says, you get to print anything you want. We printed Santa caught you being good. And then on the back side, we put, what would Santa, WWSD, what would Santa do?
Where did you find those silicone bracelets? Oriental Trading?
No. You'll see Spangle selling them for like almost $1 a piece. I think I paid 10 cents a piece.
Where?
Search on the internet. Yeah. It's been, like I said, before COVID. So it's been three years or so, maybe 4 since I ordered them.
Great. And don't giveaways depend on the number of children. I mean, if you're at a big event, stickers and things like that are perfect. But if it's a small family event, usually after season, I have found myself going to Joann's or Michael's and getting those big oversized bells. And then they're great for giveaways at the family visit, so everyone can have their own jingle bells. Drives mom and dad nuts.
How many of you do the white feather? Got one?
No,
How many of you know what the white feather? 2?
We do white feathers, yeah.
We're giving to our adults. We went to Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree had nice clear ornaments that unscrew on the bottom. We give them the ornament and the white feather, and we explain what the white feather is.
And it's up to the parents
it's
to
up-
complete
yeah.
it.
Yes.
It's up to the
Would you
parents.
explain for everybody, and especially because we're recording this, explain
forgot.
how the white feather?
Yeah, I forgot who came up with it, but the
Steve
kids-
Gillum.
yeah,
Steve
told
Gillum.
us. Well, it wasn't him. He told us who did it.
No, well, he or Leon wrote the story, one of the two of them.
Yeah.
Because they have the copyright on it.
Yeah, he said basically, the kids used to believe that if they caught Santa, Santa would take all the gifts back, would not give them gifts that year. So he said that doesn't happen. What happens is, because I can control time at that time, that day, we'll sit down. You and I will have a glass of milk. You know, we'll eat the cookies. We will then read you a story, and then I will tuck you into bed. Now, I tell this to the kids. I says, you won't remember. You won't remember. until you get really old. And then it will dawn on you what happens. And I have a clear light bulb that's an ornament that I put a white feather in, and I tell them, yes, Thomas Edison, before he died, he remembered and he gave me this feather. That's his feather from a long time ago. Now we tell the parents, we give you the ornament so you can keep it from year to year. You have to take the feather out. When you put all the toys in there in bed, put it on the carpeting and let them come out. They'll wake up and they'll come out. Mom, we caught Santa. Yeah. Why? There's a white feather here. He said if we, and they have to put crumbs all over. They have to show the empty milk glasses.
Yes, for everybody else.
You know, they have to do part of this illusion. So all the parents we talk to are really,
Oh, they're
really
all
behind
excited.
it. Yeah.
Parents love being involved in stuff like that, the parties and that. You know, just we get to do the book of the House of Jack built. I think I got it from Becky at in Pennsylvania. And it's kind of like it was House of Jack built, but it's like Santa version. So we give it pictures to all the adults. And every time I read their part, they have to make this funny noise to go with the picture. And the kids just love it that the parents can get in there and that they make mistakes and everybody's laughing. So it makes for a group setting really well.
Yeah, you can show them.
Well, I'm upside down.
Yeah, you just put them upside down. Yeah.
This is the house. That's Annabelle.
This is the mouse that goes squeak, squeak. This is the elf that goes hee, hee. The reindeer that goes stomp, stomp.
This is the favorite one. We give it to the Where's Uncle.
He goes jingle, jingle,
Okay.
thumpity thump.
It's just like raspberries.
The kiss. Mama.
And then at the very end, we bring up Santa.
Ho, ho, ho.
So everybody does a
You
noise.
see them all?
Okay.
That's great. I want to come back to activities, but I want to hear from Ellen and Eileen about their season so far and lessons learned. Ellen, can we start with you?
Me, Ellen?
You, Ellen.
There's more than one Ellen.
Florida Ellen.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
The only person I can see is Deanna. I'm on my tablet, which is different than my computer. My season has gone interestingly so far. I work either primarily as a corporate Mrs. or as a solo Mrs. I only have one event this year with a Santa, and I'm going to ask you about that. But as a corporate Mrs., I've been busier than I thought that I would. I'm working at Enchant Christmas in St. Petersburg, and it is slammed. And my role is there's a story that I tell at the top of every hour. It takes about 15 minutes with interaction with the kids and blah, 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 blah. And then the next 45 minutes, I'm interacting, mingling pictures. They're coloring with the kids, making cards, just, kind of hanging out. And then I do it again. If there's nobody there, which has only happened once, then I go into the main event and just kind of wander around there and have a good time. So that's been going fairly well. The biggest issue that we're having is because we are basically working alone as Mrs. Claus out in a different area than the main event where Santa is, and we shift about halfway through the day, is making that transition. Because there are going to be children who saw the first Mrs. Santa who will also see the second Mrs. Santa. And so what we have done with that is we have said, I'm kind of bored, words to this effect, I'm kind of bored with the way I look. I think I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to go over with some of the elves. We're going to do some magic stuff. And I'm going to change the way I look, I think. How do you think I look with red hair? Or how do you think I look with curls? I'm just going to go experiment. So when I come back, we'll see what you think. So far, that's worked pretty well because it draws the kids into the magic and introduces them to the idea that Mrs. Claus is going to look different depending. Because sometimes they say, I saw you in that movie and you don't look like that. So we kind of talk with that. I did a tree lighting this week And for the first time in my life, I locked my keys and all my supplies in my car.
Oh, no.
That was not fun, but fortunately, because it was a tree lighting and a crowd event, it wasn't crucial that I had to actually be there at that moment. And I talked to the people, I let them know, I called them, said, this is what's going on. I called the locksmith people. I said, I'm Mrs. Claus, I'm desperate. How fast can you be here? They said 20 minutes. I said, drive faster, I'll pay the ticket. But they were very kind about it, and that worked out really well. This weekend, I have a church that I do every year. We were talking about things to give away. When I did the tree lighting, the people that hired me provided a basket of the little candy canes. So I gave those out to those that wanted them. The church that I've done holds a dinner, usually hamburgers and hot dogs, because it's a poor church. And they're also dealing with underprivileged children from their area that they invite in, and they give every child 2 gifts, one to open that evening that I give to them, and another one that they take home. I've also developed the tradition that I take small gifts for each child as well. So this year, what I'm taking is a little bag, because I couldn't find enough cheap stockings. So I've got the little bag at the dollar store that are 2 or 3 for $1. And I'm filling them with candy canes, a little coloring book and crayons, and a small stuffed animal. So that's what I'm doing with that. Now, what I need some help with is, in 2 weeks, I'm doing my only event this year with a Santa. It's a corporate event, corporate family event. We're going to be there 4 hours, and they have not been able to define what they see as Mrs. Claus's role. They know that my role is not to sit up there with Santa and take pictures. I have a different role. They can't really tell me what they envision. They just want something. So 4 hours is a long time to try to figure out what to do when it's mostly the same people for 4 hours. So I've got a little bit of storytelling. It's not set up that I can do crafts or cookies. I'm going to do some of the game that you have, Deanna, the Christmas questions. I'm going to do some of that. We'll sing some songs, we'll tell some jokes, but beyond those kinds of things, thoughts that you guys might have for how to fill 4 hours. Anybody?
What about a treasure hunt? Because it's mostly about keeping the kids busy. So if you had a little passport where they had to find a bell, and where's the bell, and find a this or find a that, and have the kids off and going, and maybe not always right next to you, but then come back and show you.
I love the idea. Unfortunately, I don't have access to it ahead of time, and I'm not setting it up. But otherwise, I'll keep that in mind for future.
What's the age range of the children, Ellen?
Not a clue. I'm guessing little to big. They just said that it's the annual family event for a big corporation in Tampa. So I don't even know how many that is. I mean, are we talking 100 or 1,000? I don't know. I'm there because the Santa that's involved called me and said they want a Mrs. Claus. You and I work well together. Will you do it? And I foolishly said, sure, Nick, I'll do that with you, without getting the detail, which over the last several weeks, I have asked him if he can get the detail for me. And he's been not as effective as I would like in doing that.
One of the things, Ellen, that I have done, and it works well with children with different ages, as long as they know their letters. And that's kind of a setup, your alphabet, and then you get them to sing the alphabet. Then I get them in a circle. Sometimes I've taken like one of my handbells, because they love to ring the bell. It's either tap or ring like this. I put them in a circle and I let's play Christmas alphabet, and let's spell out Christmas. But for each, and this takes, you can stretch it out, whether they spell out Christmas or Santa Claus or some other Christmas word. And then, so what's the first letter? C. Well, what's a word that starts with C? that makes you think of Christmas, and candy cane, and everyone kind of shouts out a different one. Okay, so what's the next letter? And then you go through. So like I said, it can take 5-10 minutes, and it keeps them engaged, and they love it. So I've done both Christmas and Santa Claus, and whoever can think of the words, so rather than they're all not shouting out, they ring the bell. And then they do that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's an idea I can use.
Um,
Do you
When we
have,
have large events like that, if you have the space, I would set up stations to control the traffic, and also it helps break up make the flow smoother. So if you could set up a couple tables, maybe 4, and maybe pick up some supply. I don't know how large of a space, or if they would provide the tables.
Yeah,
But when-
they're completely in control of the environment.
Okay, I would call and ask them if you could, then you could have a station to make like the reindeer feed. That'd be something really affordable. Just pick up some uncooked oats and some sprinkles, and they could make that. Have a letter writing station to Santa, have a coloring page Santa, or coloring page station. And you could just print off, coloring pages and have crayons and markers. And those could be out also. Maybe pick up the doilies at Dollar Tree, the white paper doilies, and they could make like snowflakes, just color and markers on it for their tree. That would take up some time and make that flow easier, so Santa and you can help and mingle along with that traffic. When we have events, we did that with event over the weekend. We had about 300 children at a union, the electrical union. And we had those stations set up along with, and we worked with the event coordinator. And also they provided the hot cocoa and cookies station, and then we set up the other stations. And then we had a time after they did all those stations and mingled with everyone, and after our pictures, and we did some stories, and we had some simple magic, because we're not magicians, but just some simple things that Santa and Mrs. Claus can do. And had I'm not a ventriloquist, but we have a little stuffed animal that can talk to us and sing some songs. And the children don't care if you can sing or not, and I can't. They just love to sing. So those all can help take up some time. You could do a Santa Says game, like Simon Says. So it would be Santa Says to help get some wiggles out along that line. I love Judy's idea with her cards. That would be a great thing to do too. Hopefully those are some ideas that would help, but it does, when you have stations, it helps with that flow with that many children.
Yeah, so those, you and Deanna, those are really good ideas. I don't have access until I get there and they're ready to go. But I can.
Eileen was raising her hand earlier. Yes. So Eileen, let's hear. I know you've got a lot of things that you and Wes do.
All right, I do an event that's 4 hours and Santa sits under the tree. I usually now, and this is the question, if I were you, I would ask Santa for the phone number, because he has to have the contact for the person coordinating, and find out if they're sitting in a spot, or if it's 4 hours of people basically coming in, doing activities, and then lining up to see Santa. Our event, they're lining up to see Santa. And so I spend 4 hours working the line. I do a spirit stick, which is just a little stick that lights up.
I have one. I can't make the damn thing work.
Here's the clue. The other day, and I couldn't remember what to do. You grab one end of the metal thing,
Yeah.
the other end, you have to touch the child's skin for it to go through.
Oh, because all right.
Child's skin.
Because when I do it, it works, but if somebody else touches it, it doesn't. So
Yeah,
thank
I'm not-
You
you.
have to make a complete circuit.
That's perfect, because you could make it not work on the child and not work on the parents. And so you say, well, they need some spirit. So they have to hug the parent and tell them they love them. And then they share that spirit. Okay.
Okay.
And then the parent, you do it in a circle. So that's
That's
one
the
thing.
trick I needed. That's the trick I needed.
The other thing I have, and you can put this together, because I'm not one to spend a lot of money on crafts and handouts and everything. I have to be able to reuse it to spend money on it. I have a photo album book. And if you want, I could connect later or later in this video and show you quickly. But what it is it's photos of all the reindeer. And so I go through and I use it. I use a loose leaf binder and they're in the plastic fold. So I flip it through. And we found a picture of a baby reindeer, then a little bit more grown. And we say that's Rudolph. And then at the end, we have a picture of Rudolph where the nose is kind of pinkish and glittery and all. So, and that's our last picture. So we go through all the reindeers or anything going on and make up a backstory to go with the picture. I'd be happy
that idea.
to and show you what we have later on. So I go through with that. I have a little stuffed reindeer. Did I put him back up here? No. Okay. I have a little stuffed reindeer that I bought this spring, and I put my hand in and I walk around just with that. But and then the spirit stick. But I checked off what I do, so I'm not doing the same thing. So if it's a line, I go probably 50 feet in the line, and then I say, oh, Santa needs me, and I go back and I come back with something else. So I'm rotating the stuff. So I don't have to come up with 4 hours of entertainment. I come up with, like maybe 10 or 15 minutes for each thing, and then just rotate through. So that's one of the things I do for it. But I would definitely connect with the coordinator and say, you know what, I'm Mrs. Claus. I have so many things I could do. I need to find out what, you want me, and I'm excited. How are the children going to be sitting? Are they going to be sitting in a spot, or is this a case of, wandering around? You can also do lots of selfies. That will eat up time too. Doing selfies with kids. So they eat up time. It won't be as much as trying to, put crafts together and everything in between to prepare for it. Prepare like the game. Deanna has, I played a game similar to that for years in my car, because we used to have to drive 20 to 30 minutes to get anywhere. And all the kids that my kids hung around with got in the car. Some of them would get in and say, okay, what letter are we on today? Letter, I'm thinking of a word, or I'm thinking of something for Christmas. And you could do it as a guessing game. I'm thinking of something has to do with Christmas that begins with the letter B. And they'll say, maybe it's, I'm trying to think, maybe a W. You could say wings. You could say, all sorts of things. And maybe it's wreath, but sometimes they need clues. Well, let's think of clues. So there are different things you can do. And those are easy things to pop up. Just get them set in your head or on a piece of paper. So you can, on an index card even. So you can whip it out and say, oh, well, let me do this one. But I wouldn't, for me to go shopping and buying craft stuff and all right now, I don't have the time for it.
No.
And so I just try to think of things to do that I can walk through a line, or even circulating around at tables. If you have a bag, pull it out and put it back. Go to the next table, do something different. Because what you're doing at one table, 2 other tables are watching you anyway. So I would change off, but that's what I would do. I wouldn't go spend, who has time? We're all so busy. I mean, I have a party tonight to go to. There's no way I can run out and just shop for stuff right now.
No.
Eileen, Carla's asking where you found your spirit stick.
Wes ordered it. I'm not sure. Let me
I
ask.
ordered mine online. Steve somebody's, they call it an energy stick.
Okay, Spangle the Clown has those too. I'm sorry. We're
He
not
told me he
really
didn't.
promoting Spangle, but he just happens to have one. We
Yeah,
have,
Judy,
have-
he told me he does not. I talked to him.
oh, I thought he picked up one in Lancaster from him. Okay, well,
But
Well,
they're
Eileen
called,
is
you can get
finding
them
out.
online. Yeah, online they're called energy sticks.
All
And
right. So
okay, I spirit stick, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he.
I like the name for spirit stick. So before we move on a little bit, we haven't heard from Kathy. We can't see you, Kathy, but we can hear you.
I'm driving, so I'm trying not to watch my phone and just listen.
That's okay. So how have your okay, then I don't want you to be a distracted
No, that's
driver at
okay.
all.
I'm actually gonna pull over right here because traffic's backed up, so I'm just gonna pull off to the side.
Okay,
I've only done one, I've done one so far, and I did it with a Santa. And it was on private property, but they have, it's called Faith View. And my understanding is they bought this property in faith that they were gonna have enough to pay the mortgage. So they have a lot of little outbuildings on
It
their
was-
property, and they changed one into,
Okay.
it's like a antique store. They don't sell it, but it looks like an antique store. They're all displayed, and they had a little area for Santa to sit. So he saw the kids, they were lined up at 9:30. We weren't supposed to start till 10. And they were lined up at 9:30. So we started at 9:35. And he talked to all the kids, and he's quite long-winded. He loves to talk to the kids. So we kind of had to tell him, you know, you got a long line out here. And he went and looked a couple times. And so he would talk to the kids, and then they would come over to me, and I would give them a candy cane, a sticker, and one of the bracelets you were talking about. And then one group would leave, and the next one would be up talking to him. And we saw between 150 and 200 kids that day. And we have December 18th, we have breakfast with Santa at a Coney Island. And the waitress was going to be Mrs. Santa until she told her kids, and her kids said, Mom, everybody's going to recognize you. So I happened to be with him talking about the event I just told you about. And he said, well, what are you doing on the 18th? So we're going to do breakfast with Santa on the 18th. And then on December 23rd, we're going to do a parochial school in Grosse Pointe Farms. He has 23 classrooms, and they gave him 2.5 hours, 10 minutes per classroom. And we both know that's not going to be enough. So he's told them that we will stay until we're done, until we've seen all the kids. Well, he just found out, they texted him and said, we only have a half a day of school that day. Could you and Mrs. Claus come at 7? We're going to have a pancake breakfast. Well, it's an hour drive for us, and an hour, he said it takes him an hour to get ready and groom his beard and all that. And we figured we'd have to leave by like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So he was going to tell them no. But I said, well, we could do it once. And he's like, he's an early morning person, but he just was kind of negative on the whole thing. And he said, well, if I was doing it myself, I would probably do it. But with both of us, we have to meet someplace. And I said, well, if that's the only thing that's holding you up, I'll drive and we'll just meet there. And he didn't think it was worth both of us driving to be able to be there at 7. So he said he would just call him and explain the situation. And I said, well, are you going to offer to come at 8? And he said, if they ask me, well, can you come at 8 instead of 9? He would tell them yes, knowing that both of us would be willing to do that. So I haven't heard back on that one. So I know that.
Kathy,
Don't know. Yeah.
if he turns it down, do you feel confident enough to offer yourself as breakfast with Mrs. Claus?
Well,
I realize you're
he-
just starting out, so that's a big question to ask.
I don't think so, because he
Okay.
set all these up, and I can't remember, this might be the one that he, one of these, he signed up for himself to do it, and he's paying me out of his pocket to do it with him because he wants to get Mrs. Santa's more involved. And I told him, I don't care if I make anything, because I'm doing it because it's in my heart, not because I want the money. And because he set everything up, I feel like that would be going behind his back. So no, I wouldn't want to do it that way. And yeah, I just wouldn't want to do it because he's set all 3 of these up. So he was telling me he decided he would give me a third of whatever he makes, because he's setting it up and we're meeting and he's driving there and he's ordering the things for the kids and that kind of thing. I paid for the bracelets at the last one and I didn't care because I had 150 of them. But for this one, it's a Catholic school, so he's buying them all little baby Jesus. He bought 400 of them, and he said they weren't exactly as great as he thought they would be, but he's going to put them in a little velvet bag, and he's going to give one to each child, and he's going to tell them a little story because it's Catholic. He said he knows he can do it and get away with it. And so he's going to tell them a little story and give each one of them a baby Jesus. So he said that way he can tell them that they will always have Jesus with them. And I don't know how he's going to get out of those classrooms in 10 minutes. But they have a half a day of school, and they also asked if instead of leaving at 11:30, he'd stay till 12:30 and say goodbye to all of them. So yeah, just because he's set it up, I wouldn't want to do that, because he's been kind enough to ask me to go to these with him. So I'm getting some experience, and I would just feel uncomfortable doing it
I
myself
understand.
after.
That's perfectly fine. It was just a question.
And
Deborah, I'm sorry, Kathy.
yeah, no, that's okay.
I was going to
No,
ask Deborah if she had anything that she wanted to add. She's been kind of quiet over there in the corner. I've got you muted, Deborah, if you wanted to unmute and add anything or ask any questions or share your season.
I have one little item I thought you might like.
Absolutely.
What about that reindeer dance that you guys did in Gatlinburg?
The reindeer
To the
Macarena.
Yeah, I mean, that might
You
be
won't
something
know the
to
reindeer
keep in mind.
Macarena?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Ellen, this would be awesome. Okay, you brought it up, Judy. You want to, shall we all do it?
I'll do it, sure.
Okay, everyone,
Yep.
take a position.
Yep.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donder, Blitzen,
Blitzen.
and Rudolph.
It's a great way to set up, like how many know the reindeer and they think they do, but they really don't, or they
Yeah.
try and this is the way you're never going to forget it.
And it gets that nervous energy going, gets
Yes.
kids out a little bit.
And then do it again and louder. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, and
Yeah, you guys did it all through that whole parade that year.
that was so fun. That was so fun in Gatlinburg.
Oh yeah, that was.
You
So-
do the reindeer hokey pokey too. Have you done
Oh.
that before? That's a fun one. Same
Uh-oh.
words as the
Write
hokey
that down.
pokey, but you do reindeer parts, your antlers, your paws, your tail.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
So,
need something that gets energy going,
yeah.
yeah, I left talking my part till the end because every year something like this comes up for us.
Mhm.
Last year we did a reverse parade with a beep and creep because of COVID. And we walked up to the cars and I was talking to one little girl and she had said to me, I would like to bring my grandmother joy.
Okay.
And I looked at Dad in the front seat and I said, what's going on with Grandma? And he said, she has MS.
Aw.
And I said, well, honey, I'm sorry, but Santa is only a toy maker and there's nothing that we can do for that. But is it okay with you if we pray for her? And I wish, then I'm one of these people that it's like, I wish I had offered to do a quick video for her because she had her phone. And I wish I had just said, turn on your phone and I'll say, hi, Grandma. And I didn't. And I carry that regret with me on a regular basis. It's like a thing that circles around and comes back to haunt me. This year, we were at a place and this little girl came in and she was still obviously very, very sad. And the mother said, this will be her first year for coming back to Santa because a couple of years ago, she asked Santa if he could please bring her family back together. And instead, she had said she wanted them to be together for Christmas, what she had said. So, and this year, both the grandmother and the grandfather died, and then her father.
Oh no.
And she feels that Santa let her down. And I said, we told her that we were so sorry. There was nothing that we could do about it. But I talked to her about the fact that you can, if she feels her heart beating, that that's also her daddy there, and that is there with her. And I suggested that they buy a little chair that, you know, from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and that they could hang it on the tree, and that angels come down to visit us at Christmas time and they like to be with us. And would you please sit, you know, have that chair there? And I said, your daddy will be there for you. And he will be there watching you open your presents. But I feel like I failed her too. And every year for Bill and me, we get a child who has had some tragic story. That is, and I still haven't come up with a good answer in my heart that I feel works really well. Sometimes it's just the whole idea of, you know, saying, we'll pray for you. I'm not sure that for a young person, that's quite enough. We adults know that God hugs us in our hearts, but sometimes you need a physical hug. And right now we're still at the point where, you know, Bill gave her a big hug. There was a masked place, but I still feel like I wish there was something I could do more. And if anybody has any good thoughts, I really would take them, because this happens to us on a regular basis. The other are really good warming ones, and that is, so far we've already had 2 autistic children that have responded to us in ways that were unexpected. The best one was a little boy. We were at an outdoor event, freezing cold, and the little boy sat for his mom still, and she was so surprised, and she had him smile for the camera. He sat in the bench in front of us, and he smiled, and she was just ecstatic, and she looked up at me and said, he's autistic. And then Bill leaned forward, and Bill's excellent with children like this, and he said something to him, and they talked a little bit, and then as they went to leave, the little boy went, bye, Santa. And the mother broke down and said, and she turned to her friend and said, he's talking. He's actually talking to someone. He's talking with them. He's having a conversation. That's the first time he's ever done this in his entire life. And she was holding on to him and hugging him. And we heard her walking away saying, I love you so much. I love you so much. So those are the things that is like, this is why we do this, you know? And then we had a preteen who didn't want to have anything to do. And I just assumed he was just a normal preteen. I'm too old to sit on Santa's lap. And I finally went up to him and I said, could you do this as a present for mommy? And Bill said, you know, Santa would really like it. I think this is the best gift you could give your mom, this picture. She really wants this. So I said, have you ever heard of an attitude picture? And he looked at me and I said, I promise you, you will not have to sit on his lap. So we went over to the tree and Bill stood with his arms crossed like this on his chest. And I had the young man stand back to back with him. So they're both back to back, you know,
Yeah.
with their arms crossed and then looking at, you know, and then their heads turned and looking at the camera with kind of a stern look on their faces or whatever. And then the mother liked it so much, she came up and we had Mrs. Claus and the mom doing an attitude one, and then Santa and the young man doing one. She was thrilled to death. For teens, that frequently works that, or leaning your hand, you know, just stick your arm on my shoulder, you know, and just like, we're just hanging out, you know. And then I have to remind them, no gang signs. And then, no, you really don't want to do a gang sign in front of Mrs. Claus, do you? I said,
Not
that's
really.
a good way to get on the naughty list. And, but for preteens, little fun things like that make it look like you're just like, he's just one of the guys and I'm just leaning my arm on his shoulder and just hanging out here. It's cool and whatever, or the attitude. And then of course, my very favorite one is then the policemen always come up and want to do attitude pictures with Santa. So we always have Bill back to back with Santa Claus and, you know, the policemen in there, they're in their full gear, you know, and then there's Santa with his keys, you know, doing the folded arms and stuff like that. So those are fun things that you can do. Ellen, that might come in handy for you with if you have older kids.
The one thing I wanted to add, and I know we're coming to the top of the hour as we're kind of winding down here. But those are awesome stories, Judy. And Ellen, particularly for you, listening to Judy made me remember that she and you know ASL. So if you have the children in a group and learning Merry Christmas in sign language is one of the easiest things to do that we can all, I don't do sign language, but I know to say Merry Christmas or Happy New Year, Santa, my friend. It's easy to learn. We can do things like that. And that's something else to add. There's also now a whole bunch of good stuff in the chat box. I'm going to save the chat and put that out on the Facebook page. So a lot of these ideas and links to websites, you as well as everyone else can have access to that. I wanted to give Margie a chance to add something, but I also wanted to spend like just a minute just finding out or making sure, are we making sure that we find balance this year? Balance has been my personal buzzword for this year, and I haven't found it, but I'm still working on it. But balance is so important, especially this month as we're running here and there, and companies coming, and baking needs to be done, and decorating needs to be done, and events need to be scheduled, and accessories need to be made, and all of these things. And so I just want to make sure that we don't forget to take care of ourselves with that. But Margie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Let's see, Margie.
No, she's listening in, I know that. Or Deborah, because you had been muted this whole time.
Okay, I'm here.
There you are.
I'm just curious about Ellen's events. When we usually have 3 or 4 events in a day, but I'm trying to figure out how in the world you could possibly do 15 or 20 events. Do you live in an area that's a small driving distance, or how long are your visits?
Which Ellen are you talking to?
Well, it was
That's Ellen Turpin.
Yeah, Turpin. I mean, I'm just kind of curious how you would do.
What I said was we have declined 15 to 20 events a day. We declined. But we do many events a day. Typically, our average is about, depending on traffic, because we live in a rural area, so we have to budget our time. So pretty much everywhere we go is an hour drive. So we can do anywhere from 4 to 8 events a day, depending on how close they are. I
So
try.
are they like half-hour visits? Is that mostly what it is, or?
Some are, our minimum billing we do is an hour because of our drive time. So even if it's a half-hour event, we bill for an hour because of the drive.
I see. Okay.
And some of our events can be longer, so then that would be less events during the day. But over the weekend, we did a total of 14 events.
Wow.
So most of them were an hour long, except for the electrician union. That was a 2-hour event. And the military event was also a 2-hour event. We did Friday night tree lighting, and that one also was a 2-hour event. But the rest were under an hour or an hour, depending on whether they wanted a half hour, an hour. But again, because we're in a rural area, our minimum billing is an hour, just because with gas prices going up and we have to drive that far. And it also, I mean, there's such a Santa shortage for us in our state. We just have to do the best we can. I mean, we can't cover them all. And I like what you're talking about with the balance. I mean, I almost did too many because there's so many families that are looking for that to make up for not having Santa last year. And broke my heart today. I had to turn down a family that is in need of a Santa and Mrs. Claus, and their father has cancer, so they don't know this is his last visit. So I did not just declining the event. I spoke with that family and did as much as I could to give them more information to find a Santa. And then I also put that out into some of the Santas that I know in the area too, and message them. But balance is you have to make sure you have that in place, and that's something I almost didn't do this year because we had so many families that are just in need, and something simple like that you can forget.
Right.
One of the things that Judy does, she's the first one who I ever heard what she and Bill do. And it might be an option if there's, because it's a short month, there's only 3 weekends, to Christmas, is an after Christmas visit. And that might be an option for some of the families then, if you can't fit them into your schedule, to fit them the week after Christmas to find out how their Christmas was and if they enjoyed what Santa was able to leave under the tree. So that's
Gratitude visits.
Gratitude visit. Yes. And I love that idea. And I think it's a great option to give families, or the virtual visits, because you can sneak those in and fit those into your schedule as well, especially if travel is is an issue. All right.
Ellen has the question. She has her hand up.
Yes. Hi, Eileen. Eileen or Ellen?
Ellen.
Eileen, you're muted.
It's
And
Ellen.
Ellen. Okay.
I'm all confused.
Ellen first. Ellen from Florida first.
Okay, I don't have a question. I just had 2 experiences that I wanted to share. Because Judy, you were talking about this is why we do these things. One was at my corporate event, and this little girl, I'm thinking she was 2.5, maybe 3, cute as a button. And I saw her coming in, and I kind of held my arms and looked at her, and like a hug kind of thing. And she came running up and threw her arms around me and just hung on. And her parents started to cry. And she just kept looking at me, and we chatted a little bit. And it was clear that she was Hispanic, and I knew enough Spanish that I could make her smile, not enough to get into real trouble, And her parents then told me that her grandmother died about 6 weeks ago. And since that time, the little girl had spoken to no one outside of her mother and father, and would have nothing to do with anyone. And when she came to me, they said, we think that she saw her grandmother in you, and this has made her Christmas. This has made her happy. That really touched me, so the little girl left happy, and the parents left tearfully happy. The other one was at my tree lighting, and it was an adult. And I can't remember exactly how the conversation developed or how it got to where it did, but I made the comment that, our best varies from day to day. What was my best ability yesterday may not be my best ability today. It changes based on how I'm feeling, blah, 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 blah. And she says, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, let's say, for example, you were a singer and you got laryngitis. Is your best the same as when you didn't have laryngitis? And she thought for a minute, and she said, I think you've just changed my life. And I thought, oh my gosh, so I just wanted to share those 2 because they were uplifting, and we also impact the adults, even though they
Ellen,
know.
You often say, and I remember this, that you may not know that child, but they already know you. They already
Correct.
know who you are.
Yeah.
And so it's a great perspective to take into our visits, wondering about how am I going to interact with this child? Don't worry about it. They already know you.
They
I
know
love
us.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Eileen Turner.
Okay, I wanted to say something for anyone who saw my post on Facebook. I think it was only in Ladies of Christmas, but I was really frustrated with the Thanksgiving Day family calling like last minute, and we didn't have anything planned. We couldn't plan anything because we kind of suspected they would call last minute, but they never want Mrs. Claus when Santa says, well, would you like to add Mrs. Claus to the visit? No, that's okay. But when he shows up, they always ask for me. So this year I decided that I was not going to sit home alone, that it's a family day. And why should this break up our family? So Santa told them that morning, he talked to them that morning and all, they called with information because, we make it very, like everyone made very personal, what's information on the kids. And he just said, Mrs. Claus has decided to join me today. So I told him I was coming as arm candy. I planned one story and that was it. So I went with him and I, knew I wasn't being paid. We got all done and they gave me a tip. So it really sweet, but it was interesting because where people don't see a need for Mrs. Claus, I felt I really did an impact on one of their children because the youngest one, who was 7, wouldn't move in front of Santa while her older sister was sitting on Santa's lap. And they called her 3 times. And finally I said to her, Sarah, come sit with me. And all of a sudden, she had more attention. So she came and sat with me and it made a big difference because later on she played the piano for me or for us. And then her sister took a turn and she went off and started goofing. And I looked over at her and just winked at her. And all of a sudden she came back and stood by me. So where people don't want Mrs. Claus, there is a need because we connect to the child who doesn't get attention. And I've told this to Santa many times. So now he tells people when he goes, says, well, I will spend time with one child, but the other 12 is sitting there doing nothing. So Mrs. Claus will entertain them if you let me, have her come. So he's getting them to bring us. And going back to Santa's house building, this is what the guy who plays the boy gets to do. And the kids loved it. And little so I kind of changed it. Instead of having the picture, having that, and the kids, they seem to.
Where did you get the fart gun?
Santa ordered it, probably on Amazon. What's the movie? Oh, Minions. Come here, you can tell him where he's standing out there. Yeah. Okay, he's coming in.
Minions. My son's sitting over here going, Minions.
Yeah, this is the small one. He has the larger one. And he keeps wanting to use it, and I found a use for it now in that story.
Great
Okay,
idea.
great.
Thank you.
That's good.
Carla and Tom, again, with your first year, Carla, and balance and listening into what everyone else has had to say. Feel better, feel excited, feel nervous.
Oh yeah, we're excited. Yeah. I've done little side things with him. Last year he did all his visits virtually. He's a kidney transplant person, so we're very cautious about doing anything in person. And Mrs. Claus would just pop in to check on Santa and then be surprised to see, oh, look who's there. It's so and so and so and so, because I have the list of who's who too. And so I kind of did that. And that was fun.
Awesome. I'll try that.
I just think just in response of the person who says what to say, and that is sometimes there's nothing you can say. And part of the process is accepting that we are powerless. We're not God. We're Mr. and Mrs. Santa. And just kind of reflect back, oh my goodness, this has been a sad year for you, isn't it? And just stay with that. And don't say anything else. You can't fix it. And that's the hardest thing, is to just be quiet. Yeah. So anyway, that would be what I would say, because my real job in life before I retired was as a counselor with children. So that's what I would say to do when you have a kid that's grieving, is get beside them, because you can't fix it. They know you can't fix it. And that's hard, because we want to fix it. It's hard to see children in pain. And
I want to write something in one of the pages somewhere to caution people of, because be careful what you promise.
Yes. Yeah.
I think hi there. This is Deborah. I've heard Santa's tell them, well, Santa is a toy maker. And if you can somehow remind them that you don't have that capability early on, then they aren't maybe expecting that. I know it happens. They aren't thinking it through, but just to bring it back to that you do care, but there's certain things Santa cannot do because I'm primarily a toy maker.
Yeah, and you can say, oh gosh, I wish I could fix that. I wish I could bring grandma back. I'm really good at fixing dolls, but I don't know how to fix people.
And I think that's really good advice too, because as Judy said, be careful what we promise, that there are some things that we can't do, and it's not our job to fix that. But that doesn't mean we can't be empathetic. And what would grandma do? What would grandpa do just to sit there and give them a hug and let them know that they're cared about? Because we can't lie. You cannot lie to a child. You cannot lie to a child and make them think that everything is going to be okay when they know it's not going to be for a while. Great. Thanks, Deborah. Thank you so much for adding that. And Kathy, it's good to see your picture.
Thanks. I pulled over.
So we're about 15 minutes past 1 o'clock in Arizona here. We can keep chatting if there are burning questions that you have. Oh good, Ellen. Yeah, you've got some great ideas.
Yeah. Oh,
And like
thank
I
you.
said, we're going to post the chat, and I'll record this and put this out on YouTube and add it to our growing collection of videos, which is pretty cool. I want to give anybody any final words. I want to stop the recording, and we can just keep chatting informally and see how things are going.
We
I would like-
have a little prayer book. So when we have a family member or a child that asks if we could bring back a parent that passed away or a parent that's deployed, we have a little prayer book that we got from the Brothers Claus. And again, we remind them that we're toy makers and that we cannot do that, but we have a special book that we bring out and we write their name in it, that we would pray for them. And also, reminding them that if their loved one had passed away, that, that they're in heaven and looking down on them, and that they're always in their hearts. And if they close their eyes and just think about one of their favorite memories of that person, it's like getting a hug from them.
Love it. Thank you, Ellen.
Yeah,
Upside down
that's-
Judy. Upside down Judy.
Yeah.
Well, I promise, it's like my second night in a row that I've had technical issues, so I'm gonna try and get that fixed for everybody. I look better upside right, so.
I think you're getting dizzy.
Yeah.
If I can interject a little bit with
Please.
the adults, we had a longtime client, one of our first, that we would go every
Yeah.
Christmas, every year, and it was joyful on that. But one year, the father had stage 4 cancer.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we walked in and it was
Like walking.
nothing, was no music, no nothing. The kids weren't. And they turned around and they said, well, we don't know what you can do. I said, well, let me see.
Yeah.
And when Judy got the kids together, I went in and talked to them. I said, listen, I understand what you're going through. I know your health issues, but if you think about this is the last Christmas you'll have
They'll have with you.
with your family.
Yeah.
So why don't you think we can get up and go make some memories?
Yeah. He got up and came down, took pictures with everybody, and they were just all surprised that he got him to do that.
Yeah.
But it was, he died a few months later, but the kids still had the pictures of their grandpa, with them. So those are special moments.
I think
But
that's
just-
awesome to be able to turn that around, to make it this is going to be his last Christmas, so let's make it special
Yeah.
and not gloomy.
Right. You just
Great
gotta kind
job.
of
That's the
empathize. and-
magic. That's the magic of the
Yeah.
Claus.
Yeah.
Santa and Mrs. Claus have the magic.
Yep.
Mhm.
So,
And Ellen, I was also going to ask, for those 4 hours, why can't you sit for an hour of that next to Santa for photos?
Well, I probably could for part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but they were clear they don't want that for the whole time.
All right. It'll be an easy 4 hours.
I'm sure.
Just start dancing.
Do you have the big reindeer cards? Somebody, was-
I don't have the big ones. I have the small ones.
we have, I don't know where I got them. We have the big reindeer cards.
The
And
Spangle has them.
Spangle has them.
Yeah.
And on the back of the reindeer cards, okay,
Explains everything.
yeah, it explains what they do. So you can ask the kids to, what reindeer you think you are? And then you could just read off what the reindeers do
Yeah.
and get them lined up. And then you could tell them, well, you're Rudolph and you're
Yeah.
Donner and you're Blitzen.
If you clean or if you're a good student, math or something, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do that on the little ones too, but they're not big enough to like hold up
Yeah.
like that. If I make enough money this year, I'll think about buying those for next year.
Okay.
Well, we were
Mrs.
making our
Claus has
own.
a budget.
Yeah.
We
Ellen,
did too.
Eileen-
We were making our own and then I found them for her. So, yeah.
Take a photo of the card. Take a photo of the card and print it out in a larger form.
That's
Yeah.
Yes. And it's pretty affordable to get things laminated down at, Staples or Office Max. I did that with the 12 Days of Christmas cards and
Okay.
laminated them, found the cool art online, freeclipart.com, laminated them, put the verse on the back, and now that can take that to different events and
Awesome.
different families.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I need a trunk to take all
Yeah.
these things.
A wagon.
Exactly, exactly. So how many of you leave all your stuff in your vehicle and just pull it out and
Me.
take it all back in and
We do. I find if I don't put it all in the car, I forget it something.
Except for our suits, they
Yeah.
come in with us.
But everything else is lined up in the back, so.
you just,
Like I said,
now,
with
are
the-
you also, speaking of taking care of ourselves, do you also what are you doing to keep hydrated and keep, if especially like L&T, you're gone for
Mhm.
most of the day, or when we're driving between, do you keep, granola bars and water and wet naps
We
to wash your
can't-
hands
yeah.
and
Well, we're really blessed. My daughter is is my photo elf.
Mhm.
And she gets together and she packs like a picnic lunch for us all. She'll make sandwiches and she'll have celery and ranch dip. And so she pretty much, she's my medical elf. So she takes care of us pretty good. But we
Nice.
just have a lot of little snack things so that you don't get it in your beard or on your fingers and that. So, but I'm blessed to have that with her.
Everybody knows about the crescent stick, the saran wrap type stuff.
Yeah.
If you're out and you have to eat
You
and you go to a restaurant, they got this crescent stick stuff. You pull it out and it sticks to you,
sticks to your outfit. So
to
you
your
don't get any
outfit, so
stains on it.
you won't get any stains on
Put just
it.
on
You
the
guys
cling
don't
wrap.
know about it? It's
It's like cling
I-
wrap.
I don't know about that. Where
Yeah.
do you find it?
at the grocery store. It's
Right next to
crescent seal. or
Crescent
something like
seal.
that. Yeah.
Crescent-
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about, what's a crescent stick?
Oh dear.
Yes,
You
I've got
hold
some
both
in the
ends and
camper.
it shows you this.
Yeah, so that way it don't get dirty.
The beep beep you hear is my,
Sugar bill.
no, it's from Gig Salad.
They're still calling.
Yes, I'm getting, everybody wants the 24th.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a busy
We
day.
do have some on the day after Christmas. It's a long time visit, people, so people can't get in line anymore, so that's where they can all make it in.
Anybody do the Russian
Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of calls for
That
that.
happens.
Ned
New Year's Eve.
Merez,
Dad Mares.
Yeah.
do you have his blue outfit or do you wear a red one or what do you wear?
No, we have a big Russian community up here in Michigan. I would love to try and get started. I don't have a blue outfit, but yeah, I'm looking into it.
Yeah, there's fascinating stories that I would love to put together.
Is that him?
So,
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because the bowl of winter comes out of the Arctic Ocean up on
Yeah.
that peninsula that a name I forgot at the top of Russia. And he's the one with the two horns. And he comes out and he brings his staff with him and he goes down and he hands it to Dead Moroz. And Dead Moroz takes the frost, Father Frost takes the rest of the snow around Russia.
Awesome.
And then Dead Moroz, like on February something, he loses one horn. And then in March, he loses the other horn. And then spring comes and he goes back into the ocean until the following year. He's pretty, there's like 4 different kinds of Father Frosts and their granddaughters that exist in Russia, and they're all amazing costumes.
Yes, I got them on Facebook.
They are beautiful, yeah.
That's great.
We're just getting through doing the St. Nicholas Day, and then, because like the day before is also Krampus Day. For St. Nicholas Day, the kid, well, who's Krampus? He's the one that comes and takes your toys.
He takes your kids.
He's the bad kids is what the old legend is.
We have a
One
big
part of
Polish-
Bavaria has kind of like a female Krampus. I just got from one of my folklore pages, just got a picture of her and I was like, anyhow, yeah, she's kind of interesting too.
We have a,
So there's like, Germany has a lot of, like, because Belsnickel comes from Germany also.
We got the one from was it the Netherlands or Denmark? It's about the Christmas witch, and she's Santa's sister, and she runs the South Pole, kind of like Santa's North Pole. So instead of having
And
reindeers,
there's a book about that this year.
yes,
It's just come out.
it's been out for a while. They just redid it.
Okay, well, there's a new book that has out by one of the
There's a
actresses who
movie.
is
Yeah, there's a movie too.
the Christmas witch.
yep. Yeah, we keep teasing his sister. She doesn't like that idea. So,
And then, of course, you have Baba Yaga and you have Bafana and you have Kalak and
yeah,
there's another Norse one where she also carries a large hammer similar and that can distribute toys similar to Thor, which is
awesome.
another Nordic goddess.
All right.
There's a
We'll
lot
just
of them
keep
that are pretty
looking at all
fascinating.
those. Cool.